All right, let's talk about the chicken mince apocalypse that's coming. Seriously, Yvonne Van Nies is Tegel Foods' Chief Commercial Officer, and she joins us. Hi, Yvonne. Thanks for making some time for us this afternoon.
Hi, Paul. My pleasure.
Okay, is this, like I just said, a chicken mince apocalypse for New Zealand on the way?
I wouldn't call it an apocalypse, but I would say that we are definitely going to be facing shortages throughout New Zealand, at least over the next few months.
So what's happening? What's the problem? Because they've always been chickens.
Yeah, the availability of actual chickens isn't the problem. The problem is having enough people to process those chickens so that you can get them in the supermarket. So we're really suffering from a labour shortage at the moment, caused by both absenteeism with the flu and COVID-19, but also the fact that we can't have any immigrants coming in to work in our factories or in our head office. So I think across the board, the industry is really short, and that's causing a shortage of chicken for consumers.
I was surprised to hear that there was chicken mince today. I believe it's been around for a while. I'm obviously aware of other minces. How much of a seller is that product for you?
Not as popular as we would like. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper than beef mince, and we'd love people to trade out from their beef mince into chicken. It's not a huge seller, but it is quite difficult for us to make, and often we go short of chicken mince because it's another process which requires more people. So I can't give you how huge it is. It's actually quite small, but it is an important part of our portfolio, especially for people that don't eat red meat. They use chicken mince as a substitute.
Don't you just put it all in the mincer, which is like a machine? You just turn on and off, and probably artificial intelligence could do that. How much processing is required for that product? I'm just trying to get my head around it.
Well, they have to get the right parts of the chicken to mince up, and that needs to come from different parts of our processing operation.
Would anyone notice?
I think people would notice. I think you notice with beef mince if you're getting a different grade of mince. The quality is different depending on what you're using. So I think it is quite obvious if you're using different product and different technique. I think people are quite astute about food these days, and they don't just accept something's different just because we're going to process it differently. They've got used to a quality of product, and that's what they expect.
Yeah, that comment you made about the mix of workers that are lacking at the moment sort of got me thinking, because you hear this a lot, a lack of overseas workers coming in, and you mentioned absenteeism, COVID. I guess that's basically the same thing, are they? Because it's all sickness related, is it? Or are people just deciding not to turn up? Or taking advantage of sickness to not turn up?
I don't think people are taking advantage. I think we are having more unexplained absenteeism than we've had before, and I think there's a number of factors. One is that the people that are particularly working on our sites are exhausted. Working in this industry, we worked all through the lockdown period. There was high levels of demand for our products, and people were off sick during that period, so there's been a lot of overtime, a lot of people doing double shifts, and I think we need to acknowledge that the people working in the factories are really tired at this point in time. The second point to that is we do have a couple of hundred vacancies across the board, which means that our existing staff are having to fill those voids where they can, which means they're working hard and working
so people from the office, Yvonne, is that what you're saying? People from the
people in the office,
the
people in the factory working working long hours.
Does that mean weekends? Someone in the office who normally did the spreadsheets and stuff is now having to get their hands dirty with chicken?
It does. Yeah, it does, because we're committed to getting chicken onto the tables of New Zealanders, and that means that people that ordinarily are sitting at their desk working on their computer are now working in the factory, getting their hands dirty, as you say.
Well, that could be
really
a bit disturbing
that we
for
help
some.
out.
For animal lovers, that could be a bit hard to handle if you're only used to the back office.
Yeah, so most of them are working in the secondary production plant, so places where we make nuggets and burgers and all of those things. But it's completely voluntary. We're not enforcing that our head office people go and work in the factory. We're asking them if they could help out, just to take some of the strain off the people working in the factory at the moment. And on a day-to-day basis, if you need 10 people on a shift and 3 don't show up, you just can't run that line.
Yeah.
So it becomes really challenging, and so we need to use people from the office where we can. But they don't have to go. We've asked them to help, and a lot of people have put their hand up.
It'd be a bad look, though, if you said no, wouldn't it?
Not really, because, for some people it's really not their cup of tea, and we're not going to make it. They've got a job to do anyway. Just if I'm working in the factory, I'm not out selling chicken, which is my day job.
Okay.
So I think
I get it. Yep.
I think they're working anyway.
Okay, and in terms of having to use overseas workers, we're always wanting jobs for New Zealanders first, and sure, if we need workforce from other places, business is business. You got to get it. Is that because there's actually a lack or a shortage on numbers of workers, or is it hard to attract people to this line of work? Well, what's that all about?
I think it's a bit of both. I would say, yes, there is definitely a shortage, because we're not the only industry that doesn't have workers at the moment. And I think, if you look at the hospitality sector and you look at other industries within the grocery industry, we're definitely short of people. So step one is there isn't enough workers. Number two is it is a hard job working in chicken. You're working in a cold factory, you're working long hours, and it's quite repetitive work. So when there is a labour shortage, it is harder for us to attract people than perhaps another industry. However, usually we have enough people in New Zealand to fill those roles, and we simply don't have enough people at the moment.
Here's the big question. How much worse does it have to get before chicken mince is off the menu?
Chicken mince particularly.
That's the problem area, right, at the moment?
It's chicken mince, but it's also, further processed products.
Like nuggets.
Such as, nuggets, burgers,
Oh, you
all
can't
of those
take
things.
away the nuggets.
Look, we have to make choices day to day at Tegel, and one day you might get chicken mince, and the next day you might get chicken nuggets, and that's just where we're at. Wherever we can make a product, we're having to deploy our labour into that space. So I don't think we'll be completely out of anything, but we will have very, very low stock. So if I'm a customer going into a supermarket, it's very hard on a day-to-day basis to know what you're going to be able to get that day.
There could be fights over the mince.
There could be.
That's
a definite
bidding wars.
possibility.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's interesting. Thanks for taking a bit of time to tell us about this. And in the food business in New Zealand, production business, you guys, I'm sure, sort of kind of keep in communication in a general sense. Is this something that's affecting more broadly the business sector than just Tegel?
Oh, absolutely. We're not alone. I know that a lot of people in the chicken industry as well are in the same boat as we are. And I know that there's other people in the food industry that are also suffering from labour shortages at the moment. It's not something that we see a light at the end of the tunnel of anytime soon. So we just have to get our people working from head office in the factory from time to time and put out as much product as we can.
Yvonne, thanks for coming on the platform and telling us about it's not a chicken mince apocalypse yet, right? Yet.
Not, and hopefully it won't get there.
Okay. Have a great weekend. Thanks for talking to us on the platform. That was Yvonne Van Nies of the Tegel Foods Chief Commercial Officer. I don't know if I'd be a great fan of being a back office person, being asked to go and mince up chicken and sort of try and swallow that. Could be quite alarming. I've talked to people who've worked at freezing works before, and some of them have been quite affected by that. It's had an effect on them. I talked to a guy once in the States, a businessman, and he said he asked me a question. He says, "You know how we can starve everybody here in the USA?" He said. I said, "No." He said, "Kill all the chickens." There you go. Ben, what do you make of the pending chicken mince apocalypse?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you've asked, Paul.
I know you wanted me to ask.
Yeah, well, you didn't have to tell them that. They don't know how they couldn't see us, Paul. They don't know how radio works. You've ruined the magic.
You're looking like you were really interested.
I've got something to say. Yeah, well, this is, we've got a message here actually from Marcus Tuilius. He says, "Is this worth discussing?" To which I would probably say Yes. I mean, I'll tell you what. If
You mean the subject?
Yeah, the subject of chicken mince, the subject of the great chicken sausage shortage of 2022.
Oh,
Paul.
chicken sausage.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think
that's
if you
what goes into the
try
sausage
coming
mince.
up to somebody who's off their rocket on Courtney Place in Wellington at 4:00 in the morning and can't get their chicken nuggets from McDonald's, I think that they'll definitely think it's worth discussing. In fact, I think they'd have a few choice words, to be honest with you.
If you're an entrepreneur, here's an opportunity. If you missed out on buying up all the chipboard, this is what you could do.
Oh, chicken nuggets, genius.
Yeah, go around and mince and have one of those, bags that the food delivery people have.
Yeah.
The thermally insulated ones,
Sort of just handing them out.
Well, not handing, premium price.
Right, yeah.
You need your portable, FPOS thing.
Oh, of course, profit.
don't
Yes,
want-
I was
don't
just
want
thinking of
cash.
doing a kindness. No, you want to try and make some money off of that for sure.
No, well, there's the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
And-
actually, I mean, this is the story it came off of. It says mixed reactions on the streets of New Plymouth to the chicken sausage shortage currently affecting the country. So, apparently local New Plymouthians have something to say on the topic.
Would it bug you if you couldn't get hold of nuggets?
Not really, Paul, to be honest with you. I'm not
Not a
really
nugget guy?
No, not really a nugget guy, me. I mean, I'd have the occasional McChicken from
It
McDonald's.
doesn't even look like chicken.
No, it doesn't.
You can see
does it?
what do they call it, reconstituted?
It's actually quite jarring if you cut it open, which I never do.
I bet it's got all the, like the beaks and the feet. And everything.
Yeah, but you and I were saying earlier that when I think of chicken, the first thing that comes to my mind is never sausages.
No, that was
Or
a new
anything
one
of
on
that
me.
kind. Yeah.
They've got that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.